Moving on, Justin R. White asks, the big lie, if you're white and then you are inherently and irredeemably racist regardless of your actual thoughts or conduct. You have to understand something about the progressive movement. The progressive movement it's a good question to follow on the one that we just took. The progressive movement is predicated upon giving minorities goodies, not a lot of goodies, just food pellets basically. So if you're going to buy the votes of black America, if you're a Democrat and decided that you're going to follow this W.E.B. Du Bois way of dealing with black Americans as inferior, if you're basically going to bribe black Americans, that's what we're doing now. We're bribing the people who live in these inner cities, and we say, listen, keep the violence internal. We can't stop you from killing each other. We don't really care. That's the attitude of the Democrats that run these big cities. We don't really care if you kill each other. Just don't shoot up malls and don't go into the taxpayers' neighborhoods. And in exchange for this, there will be a regular stipend deposited into your account. Your little ATM card will get recharged every month, and you may get a crappy piece of junk Obama phone once every 4 years, and we'll give you just enough money for your rent, just enough money for crappy food, just enough money for bus passes. That's the deal. But you got to understand, if you're going to pay for this, you've got to take it from somebody else. And the way you take it from somebody else is you guilt them into shutting up. You basically, the reason that white people are demonized by the left, that every white person is a racist, is because they're about to steal from you. And when they come to steal from you, they can't just come and say, hey, we're here to steal your stuff, right? What they have to do is they have to say, this isn't stealing, this is justice. You have benefited from slavery. Yes, you, in 2015, you are benefiting from what your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather may have done. Fact of the matter is, most white people in this country came in after the Civil War. Most of the white people in this country came in the big wave of immigration after the Civil War. And of those that were here before the Civil War, only a small percentage of the total American population lived in the South, and the number of slaveholders in the Confederacy was a very small number of the Confederacy. Most people don't realize that either. They think everybody that fought in the Civil War on the side of the Confederacy had slaves. That's ridiculous. It was a product of large landowners. And the final irony here, in terms of this giant you owe us stuff, is it is true that slaves built a part of the U.S. economy. And what slaves built was the plantation system. And the plantation system was destroyed at the end of the Civil War. The minute the Civil War was over, there was nothing left in the country that was built by slaves. That's not to say nothing was built by black people, but nothing was built by slaves because the plantation system was destroyed with the Civil War. Black Americans began the big migration out of the South up to the northern cities, into Chicago, Baltimore, New York, all the rest, Detroit. And black Americans played a part in building the industrial era economy. They were working in factories just like white Americans. They were about 10% of the population. That was about their contribution. And there you go. But if you're going to steal money from somebody, you can't come up to them and say, hey, I'm about to rob you. What we're going to do is we're going to say, you're an awful person. Me? Yeah. What did I do? It's not what you did. It's what your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather may have done. 6 generations, 7, I don't know what the number is. The point is, it's irrelevant. I'm not responsible for what my dad did, let alone what my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather did. No, I didn't do it. I'm not responsible for it, and you're not going to make me feel guilty about it either. Because when black people were working on plantations in south part of the Confederacy, that was horrible. It was horrible. My ancestors were either working in mills in Lancashire, England, from six days a week from dawn till dusk, cotton carding for just aligning cotton fibers, from sunup to sundown, and dying at 30. Or they were working in coal mines and dying at 20. So it wasn't exactly cushy everywhere, you know. And this is it. So that's why you have to be a racist, Justin. Justin R. White, by the way. We know what's going on here, Mr. White. You have to be demonized because we're about to rob from you. And we can't call it stealing. We have to call it social justice. Therefore, you have to be a bad guy. Any questions?